Hey there, welcome to Hippie Happy Homeschooler. My name is Gina, and I'm hopping on here today to share with you a couple of resources that we use in our homeschool during the Christmas season, and it's Christmas. A couple weeks ago, I shared with you the picture books that we have compiled over the years and we use in our morning time. We choose a different one every day to read, and it's just fun. It's a fun way to integrate Christmas stories. But the other thing that we do during the holiday season is we kind of put away our morning time usual subjects that we are working through, and we just focus on the Christmas season, and I have a Christmas guide that we work through. So I have purchased several in the past 6 years that we've been homeschooling. And so I want to share those with you today. I want to share the ones that we've used and just tell you a little bit about them. The reason I love these guides is because it's all of the same kinds of things that we're doing in morning time. It's stories, it's poetry, it's art, it's music, it's Bible readings, it's historical. So the different guides that we are using integrate all of those things, but in a way that makes the holiday season feel like it's set apart, it's special, it's different. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share with you all of the guides that we have used in the past, and also 2 of the guides that we're going to use this year for our Christmas time, Advent season. Okay, so first up is the first Christmas Advent guide I ever purchased for our homeschool. That was the Your Morning Basket Advent Guide from Pam Barnhill. If you have never listened to the Your Morning Basket podcast and you're a homeschooler, I highly recommend it. Pam Barnhill has many years of expertise under her belt as a homeschooling mom. She has 3 children. She has several different podcasts that she runs. She was part of School A Sisters at one point. I think she has a podcast called the Homeschool Solutions Podcast, but I found her incredibly helpful in my early years as a homeschooler. I just remember in my planning stages, I started listening to her and just absolutely gleaned so much from her. So I highly suggest checking her out. But so just to show you this guide, what it includes. So she has in here, there's scripture memorization. There are art projects that she has you do. There are different chapter books that she has listed for each week. So she has week 1, week 2, week 3, and 4. So if you start off late, just carry it through into January. It's still going to be really special for your kids. There's a number of prayers within this guide. There are different poems. She has a list back here where it's a downloadable PDF, but if you click on the link in your browser, it's going to take you to different music, different readings, different art pieces that you can look at online. It's really well done. It's simple. It's easy to add into your morning time. I would say, you can do as little or as much as you want. I always say, the curriculum is not meant to master you. You use it as you need to. And so you just use the resources she's given and plug them in where you want. So that's Your Morning Basket Advent. So that's wonderful. Then Campfire Curriculum. We love Campfire Curriculum. They have many different unit studies. The Christmas one was one of the first ones I had purchased from them in conjunction with the Thanksgiving unit, but we have also since then downloaded the EMS unit. I am going to download the photography unit for my son. There's culinary units, there's veterinary units. I mean, you name it. They have a number of different elective style unit studies, and I would say they take about 30 minutes of your time. And so this could completely replace your morning time. And the reason being is because the way that he does these guides, this is actually a dad who created this. The way he does these guides is you can either just do the lesson as is, which would be like a reading, some scripture, and maybe like a story. But you can also take it further, and it adds in pieces for language arts, science. I think there's also there's always historical pieces involved. So you can make it as short or as long as you really want it to for your personal homeschool. So for us, when we did this unit, we just did the lessons. We didn't add on all of the extra science pieces and language arts pieces because we already have so much for our homeschool that we're doing through all of our different language arts programs and math that I didn't want to tack on more for my kids. And the lessons were plenty. So there's about, let's see, I think 13, probably, no, it looks like, 12 lessons. So he has places for you to have your kids journal. There's questions. There's stories. It's a really well done unit study. This one was about focused on the shepherds in the first couple of lessons, and then it moves on. There's a section about hymns. So this is just, it's wonderful. And like I said, they have lots of different unit studies, not just the holiday ones. So I highly suggest checking out Campfire Curriculums. We love them. This year, I have 2 unit studies that we're going to do. We read A Christmas Carol every year. We love Dickens. And I came across Little World Wanderers, and she had a little unit study on the Dickens novel. So this one is actually a 5-week study. So we're going to carry it right into January. But there's poetry, history, there's cooking, there's a craft for each week. There's poetry. I think I said that already. There's read alouds. So here, like it says, the book list is Dear Mr. Dickens by Nancy Sherman, Queen Victoria's Bathing Machine by Nancy Carpenter, The Story of Holly and Ivy by Rumer Golden, Tree of Cranes, Good King Rensselaer's by John M. Neal, The Night of His Birth. So it's great. You can add in all of these. You know, there's different links for music. She does historical timelines. There's poetry from G.K. Chesterton. You can make oatmeal gruel and feel like you're Charles Dickens. Just takes you back to Old England. So I am very excited to dive into this. We're starting, like I said, a little bit late because we've been in Europe the past month, but we're going to dive in on Monday, and we're just going to take our time with it. We're not going to try to rush through by Christmas. There's no need to do that. We're just going to get it done when we get it done. And then finally, the last guide I purchased also from Little World Wanderers. I just printed it today, and I purchased this book, Winter Frost. I have no idea really anything about the book. It just looked really cozy to me, and I thought it would be fun. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this. I haven't even bound it yet. But again, this study guide is 4 weeks long. So it has you reading chapters 1 through 9, week 1, 10 through 18, week 2, 19 through 27, week 3, and 28 through 35 in week 4. And the guide includes things like poetry, history, cooking, crafts, science. There's optional read alouds that you can add in addition to it. So I am really excited to dive into this. And just for reference, my kids are older. I have twins that are 16. I have a 14-year-old, and then I also have a 12-year-old. But we love read alouds. I always say this, a good book is a good book. So it doesn't have to be an adult book for adults. It doesn't have to be children's books only for children. I think that children's books can be for adults. I enjoy a great picture book just as much as my 12-year-old does. So there's that. And then there's a couple more things that I wanted to add in that I didn't add into my last video. Okay, so this is a book that I'm adding in for moms. In the Bleak Midwinter is a very famous poem by Christina Rossetti. If you're familiar with her work, you're probably familiar with this poem. But she's an amazing Christian poet. She also wrote some secular poems, but this particular author, Rachel Mann, compiled about 40 of her poems into this book that is kind of more of a observance of Advent and Christmas, meant for reflection during this waiting period that we are in, this anticipation of remembrance of Christ's birth, but also just remembrance of what God is doing in and through us and through our lives. And it's just a really powerful book, using the poetry of Christina Rossetti for your reflections. So I started it and I'm loving it already. I've always been a fan of Christina Rossetti, and I love the selections that the author has chosen for this book so far. So if you're looking for something to just kind of add into your morning time, your personal morning time, I highly recommend this one. Another book that I highly recommend for moms is this one, Mitten Strings for God, Reflections for Mothers in a Hurry by Katrina Kennison. I read this last year. It's very appropriate for this time of year when moms are kind of, moms are always busy and always trying to check things off their lists and, do all the things, and never more so than at this time of year. And this is a book that kind of puts all of that into perspective, reminding us of what's valuable and what's the most important thing. And so I loved this book. I'm actually gonna read it again this year because I feel like my heart needs it. So there's that. I also already mentioned this book in my last video, but I'm going to mention it again. Holy Hygge, I think that's how you pronounce it. Celebrating creating a place for people to gather and the gospel to grow. This is a book about hospitality, setting the atmosphere in your home, relationships. It's about being intentional in all areas of your life, and so I really love this book. And then two more fun books that I stumbled upon that I didn't include in my picture book was the Little House series, the Little House Christmas Treasury. So this is just different Christmas stories, but they're all compiled into one book. And then, of course, The Long Winter. We love this. Start reading this in December and carry it through January when it's quote unquote winter time. Not for us because we live in Florida, but for those of you who live in the snow, you might find it a cozy read. So that is all of the unit studies and little suggestions that I have for this time, and I hope you have found it helpful. All right, Merry Christmas.